In part 2 of this video, we'll now be discussing the Playster service as a whole, which the Playster 8 is supposed to be a representation of, at least a better value if you are already subscribed to the service and you want to use it. You also get this free package, including a tablet when on the go. So the service as a whole, I have to say, is pretty good. I found it extremely strong for audiobooks. So if you like to listen to audiobooks when traveling, it makes for a pretty compelling experience. The selection that you can find is good, and you can really search up a fairly wide catalog. You can download it, save it, and play it when you're traveling and stream it as well. However, when it comes to music content in addition to movies, the selection is not as wide as something like Netflix. So you do get unlimited access to all those films and movies, but it's particularly rooted in documentaries. And of course, there are a few popular titles here and there, but that will change periodically. So it's not the full collection of all the films in the world. So that's something to really keep in mind.
The mobile version of the application that you'll get on any tablet or phone once you download the Playster app. And you have categories that are sorted by books, music, audiobooks, auto-generated playlists, movies, and games. Taking a look at the games first, it's the simplest one, and what you'll find is most of the titles are HTML and Java based, so they actually open up in the browser and they don't actually take up physical space in order to download it. So it's not quite as complex, and you don't get a super wide selection of the most popular action-based titles, but it is a way for you to quickly check out some pretty fun games if you're traveling. So for instance, if we tap on retro games, you have access to things like a Brick Breaker and also a space shooter game. And you can see tapping on here, we have a summary and it's using HTML5. So tapping on play, it basically opens up the game inside of the browser in a sense. It takes a few seconds to load. Afterwards, you can get through multiple levels. Obviously not super graphically intensive, but it is a fairly fun version of Brick Breaker, a classic. And you can see that this is a good representation of what many of the titles on the unlimited game catalog will look like. So it's not the most popular thing in the world, obviously not meant as a gaming specific product, which is why you'll see titles like this, but it still works fairly well. And if I tap on new releases, you can also find a few which are traditional download based games, such as Pirates and Canyons. You can see that this is labeled as Android, so this takes up physical memory and will download as a regular app. And some of these might even be paid for apps, but you get them for free here, such as things like World at Arms, Dungeon Hunter 3, some of these more popular titles that will require a download, but you get them for free as part of this unlimited service. So you can see that these are some of the titles that you have access to. Casual games, learning games, and more. So it's been sorted for the most part. So I can launch to the main drawer by swiping to the edge of the device, and I can tap on Switch Media to go back to this main screen. And from here, I can also take a look at things such as the movies. So the movie selection is pretty good, but it seems to be mostly focused on documentaries. So if you like documentaries, then it works pretty well. You have quite a wide selection of that. But most of the titles on here are not as mainstream, so it's not going to be the latest movies. So if you're looking for Oscar-winning films or super popular films that have just been released, you won't find it here. So that's one area where Playster's services are not as grand compared to Amazon streaming services, for instance, or Hulu, or even Netflix. So for the most part, though, selection is fairly interesting, and there's quite a few TV shows, and again, documentaries are wide. And for instance, in terms of loading, it is pretty fast as well. Let's see Hotel Babylon, for instance. You get a summary. A lot of these TV shows seem to be from BBC, which is kind of interesting, but I can rate this, I can look at the writers, I can tap on play, and then it will stream and play the movie in a few seconds. At first, the resolution is a little bit low, but within 5 seconds, the resolution becomes HD, and it becomes a very enjoyable experience. And afterwards, you don't have any stuttering or slowdowns, although it will drain the battery a bit faster if you watch too many HD resolution films on the tablet's part. But otherwise, you can see recently added. I can search through some of those. Again, not the most popular games. Some of them are a bit more dated, such as there's a Clue TV show on here, but you do still have various genres to explore and the same type of categorization going on, from curious, nostalgic, goofy, artistic, inspiring films, so on and so forth. Next one, playlists. This one is mostly auto-generated, so it gives you some music either from the charts or by certain R&B, soul, nostalgic, rock, uplifting, electronic, and then gives you an auto-generated playlist of popular artists. And afterwards, you can just play this if you're in a car, if you're at home and just chilling out. This is a good way to explore new artists, for instance. And you'll find that for music, it does support many of the latest albums and most popular titles by artists, such as you can see here we have Bruno Mars, Beyonce. So as far as music selection is concerned, I would say that Playster services are top notch. You can find most, if not all, of the artists that you're looking for from here. Even some of the more up and coming artists you'll find as well. So one of the recommended artists I was looking at the other day was it said Brooke Candy, for instance, and some of these people are you can also find them on YouTube. So they do have a pretty wide selection of artists that they have through their music service. So this is one area where it works pretty well. So you can look at things such as evening music, new releases, top of the charts, tapping on this again, and you can see some of these more popular tracks listed out. So not really too many issues as far as music is concerned. If you are a music fan, you'll like this. You can play music, stream it, download it as well. So it works very well. Next, we can take a look at audiobooks. Audiobooks, just like music, is another strength of Playster services. I found no issues as far as getting most popular titles on here. Things like the Mortal Instruments seem to be promoted, and there's also other things, more popular titles, in addition to adventures. You have business biographies, as well as comedy, thriller films. Most of these are also adapted from books that you can find here, and again, sorted by all these categories. And for the most part, you get a very wide selection. The experience of playing back audiobooks is great. You can play and pause. It saves your location. You can take a look at what the book is about. You can also rate it, listen to it, download it, and everything you want to do works really well. So audiobooks, another impressive aspect. Now, if you like something, you can save and tab it. And once you save it, you can see that in the categories, when you drag the drawer to the right here, it saves it as part of your audiobooks. So there are specific folders, if you like a specific film, audiobook, or game, that you can pen and tab to access at a quick key selection. So it saves your favorite books and things for easy access in the future, which is nice. Going to the last feature here, which is books. This is very similar to films in the sense that it's not a very wide selection. Most of the books on here, it's a little missing. So compared to the audiobook selection, you don't get as complete of a set. So even for the same books, like maybe the Mortal Instruments, you won't be able to find the physical copy on here. So if you are a fan of physically reading text and scrolling through paper, this is not something that it does a super nice job of. At least the Playster services on this particular side of things doesn't seem to be as complete as films and audiobooks. But you still have quite a few interesting titles that you can check out, such as A Series of Unfortunate Events, for instance, and you have a very good collection of almost all these titles, books, and you get a summary. I can check this out by tapping on read. It takes a few seconds to buffer. You can change the orientation of the screen, and afterwards you just simply slide to start reading the text. There's even quite a wide selection of comics, which I found to be a little surprising, but it's really nice because the Playster 8 is obviously a color tablet, so you can take advantage of that and view back HD images, and it works very well. So on these text-based books, though, you do have a bit more customization. I can basically pan through various pages very quickly, tap on here to go through chapters just at a glance, and on the very top here I can also go through things such as change the font size even of the book, which is fairly interesting. I can also change the size again just to make it larger or smaller, and also change the brightness and the text. So I can also add bookmarks if I wanted to, in addition to add this to my books or to my reading list and share it for future reference. So there's quite a lot of things that you can do on here that you'll also find on things like Kindle services, which makes it comparable. Some of the more advanced tricks, such as adding lots of annotations and notes and sharing it, isn't available here, but most of these things are software-based and might be improved upon in the future. Now, one downside I did find about comics was, if I take a look at my books, I actually downloaded one, so The Art of Atari. And one thing I found was it doesn't seem to render the most high definition images just to save on space and make it quicker so that books can open up at a glance. But the downside of this is, if I
bring up the brightness a little bit more, is if I try to zoom all the way in, you can see that the text is a little bit blurry actually. The images are still fairly sharp, but if you have very tiny text on some cramped pages, you'll find that zooming in doesn't automatically make the text reflow and become super sharp. So that is one software flaw that I hope the company can work on and make it a bit more complete in the future. But for the most part, it's a very enjoyable experience. Most comic books which don't have too much text in them will work and render just fine. Just in these, which also include a lot of descriptions, seem to not work quite as well. But overall, you have the same features like bookmarks and panning through multiple pages if you want to. So everything does work pretty well. All right, so that's been a closer dive at the Playster service as a whole. So the strengths on here are going to be the playlist, the audiobooks, and the music. So for these three alone, I think the unlimited part really does make sense since the library and selection is vast. But if you are buying this unlimited service just to read books or exclusively for movies or even games, it doesn't have nearly as wide of a selection as I think they will expand upon in the coming days. So that's areas where it's still being refined. As a whole, though, as this combined package, it is very exciting because I think Playster is one of the few services where you do have, unlimited in the sense that they have a pretty good collection of content for multiple types of entertainment, whether or not you read books or play games or watch movies. You can have access to all of these different types of activities and really explore that if you're traveling or have some free time. And so as a whole, it does make for a pretty compelling deal when you compare it with one media specific service that only gives you access to one thing, but this gives you a wider collection as long as you're not looking for too much depth in that one subfield. So anyways, guys, this has been our review part of the Playster service. As a whole, I would say that it is recommended as long as you're not expecting the most amount of books or games as part of this unlimited download package. You can check out more details about the Playster experience and what we thought about this particular service in our official written review. But for now, this has been our video. Thanks for watching part 2 of this review here at OS Reviews. This has been a closer dive at the Playster service as